Right, guys. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me at the back? All right, guys. Thank you for coming. And I guess this is our third program we're conducting for our club. It's named The Philosophy of Yoga at Caltech. And I'm the president, Akshay, and many of you might know me. And I guess I have a bunch of students here who I TA'd. I did a crappy job then, this is better. So anyways, and so here, like, we usually organize these events wherein great speakers and like these kind of events wherein speakers who have been monks for many years and who practice different versions of spirituality and who have a lot of insight into it from many years of practice, they come and share their experience so that we can all benefit. And more details will be in the talk. And I just want to give a brief So in particular, today's program is mind, mantra, and meditation. So we'll be doing something called a kirtan, wherein like there'll be kind of a melodious chant, and all of us kind of join in. Sarvatma here will be explaining more about that, and I'll be explaining more about Sarvatma. So Sarvatma here, he's been a monk. He grew up in Buenos Aires in Argentina. He's been a monk for 2 decades, and he's been practicing the process called Bhakti Yoga for 44 decades, 40 years. And he has a lot. He's a very wonderful person. He's a very nice person, and he's a cook. He cooks. He runs a good karma cafe at USC. He's a great chef, and in fact, that's who's the dinner's on today. And he's a writer. He's a writer. He writes novels in his free time, and he plays table tennis too. He's a coach. So with that, we would like to hear more on the philosophy of yoga and what kirtan is all about from Sarvatma. Over to Sarvatma. Please let's welcome him.
Caltech, really?
Yes.
I know better. PA at community. Thank you, Akshay. First of all, I would like to do a little bit of a disclaimer, as I should be intimidated by you guys. Yeah. Oh, obviously you're smart enough. You know, non-smart people, they just go to other colleges. You know, the smart ones go to Caltech. They want, you know, I heard about you, the nerdy type, and it's nice. It's nice to be intelligent in an age where most people aren't. One thing that struck me, I'd never been to Caltech before. As we were driving in a park on San Pascual, I saw the faces of the people living the campus. And they all had kind of a beatific smile on their face. Like, this is the result of knowledge. Material knowledge gives you material happiness. And there's a certain amount of happiness to be experienced in this world. But there's a problem with that, which is that has an end. And that's a problem, because you have to look for more, or you have to look somewhere else. So I guess we are all looking for the same thing, that the meaning of things, the meaning of life, the happiness that will not end, and so on. So that's how yoga, but not yoga the way we understand it, or the way most people understand it, that, you know, you just carry your mat and you go, you know, put your brand name leotard and do, you know, all these stretches, put your legs around your neck, and, you know, you breathe deeply. This is just the very beginning state of yoga. Yoga is a Sanskrit compound that means to link, to unite. Just like the word comes from the root yuk, just like the word yoke, a team of oxen. They are just joined together to work. So yoga means to unite the mind with the supermind. Supermind will be supreme mind. In other words, we may see the world in a certain way, but there is another way to see it, which is a little higher. So for that, to tap into that, you have to concede certain things. You have to practice things. Like, actually I mentioned I coach table tennis and I play. Well, it's not that I woke up one day and I was a player. I had to spend probably my first 10,000 hours practicing and then improving over certain motions and strategies and et cetera, and then I got better, and then I have to learn how to be didactic, how to teach others to do it, and you always keep improving. So in order to understand oneself or consciousness or the universe or anything, you have to really put time. You have to really dedicate yourself. In other words, you can be a yogi as a hobby, like you can be anything as a hobby, a cook as a hobby, or an artist as a hobby, or a pianist as a hobby. But can you really become excellent at any discipline just by doing it for an hour a week? Or 2 hours a week? No, you can't. Like, can you actually cruise through midterms by studying for half an hour? When you feel like? No, you can't. You actually have to put some serious work. So in order to become a yogi, I mean someone who actually develops their consciousness, embraces their consciousness to understand things as they are, not as we see them. Because our senses, and you, no matter how smart you are, you will have to agree with me, our senses are imperfect. Yeah? You can see in the dark, you can see behind you, you can't hear what's going on in another room. I mean, they have a certain limitation. And somebody gives you a taste of ice cream and you say, oh yes, for sure this is pistachio, but it isn't. It's something else, some other flavor, banana split, or whatever it is. So our senses are not exactly the sharpest. You have to train it. Just like people who train to be, wine connoisseurs or food connoisseurs or olive oil. I just found out that a friend of mine in Sweden is one of the judges for the international olive oil competition. I had no idea. The guy, I had no clue whatsoever. And he said that the winner this year was, what's the name? Via Magra from Italy. Well, there you go. And the guy is just not that they named him, okay, that guy will do it. He actually had to train. He knows how to differentiate one olive oil from another. And most of us don't have a clue. You just, you get an olive garden, from the 55-gallon barrel, and couldn't tell the difference from any other one. So in order to practice yoga, you actually have to apply yourself very seriously, very seriously. Because the beginning yoga is where you sit down like you are in what is called half lotus position. That's a half lotus. Anybody can do a full lotus? Yeah? Any trained yogis? Full lotus means you put your foot on top of the other. There you go. There you go. That's a full lotus. So you have to sit in full lotus position for months. For months. Not overnight, not during the lecture, not just to show off how limber you are. You actually have to sit down in the forest, not in a room at Caltech. You have to sit in the forest. This is the real yoga that was practiced thousands of years ago. You go to the Himalayas, you go to the forest, some solitary place, which they are no longer available, as the National Geographic team will reach you any time. There will be documentaries about some guy or girl, sitting in the forest, or Boy Scouts will find you, or bears. And you're supposed to put some special type of grass called kusha grass, make a mat out of that, and then put the skin of a deer, because that repels snakes. And because you're going to be concentrating, meditating, you don't have time to see if they're reptiles trying to attack you. So the deer skin will keep them at bay. And then you face east, and you half close your eyes, because if you close your eyes, you'll fall asleep, and if you keep them open, you will be distracted by your environment. And then you start controlling your airs within the body, prana, the air that goes in and the air that goes out, they're different. And eventually, you will actually have to merge the air going into the body and the air going out of the body, which will mean that you will stop breathing effectively for a long period of times. And at that point, your mind should quiet down a little bit. And when your mind quiets, then you can concentrate on thinking higher thoughts. So this is just the beginning. Basically, sit down and shut up. That's the beginning of yoga. Right? And then you actually try to concentrate. Of course, there is this, you heard about chakras, right? It's this discs-like in the body. They're kind of imaginary, but they're GPS points. So you can locate, your consciousness, can raise it up. And a real yogi stops eating and stops breathing after a while. I mean, seriously. And that's how you detach yourself from the body. The body is always giving miseries to us. It's always asking for food, or asking for sleep, or asking for sex, or asking for being, or whatever it is the body is asking for, a massage, or a new coat, or whatever it is, a purse. Right? And that's, you have to actually shut it down. The body becomes secondary. Just like most people have cars in America, for sure, because you can't go anywhere with public transportation. And, you can a little bit. So you have a car, but some people, as you may know, become very obsessed with their car. And they're always polishing it and buying little things, gadgets for the car. But the car is simply a vessel, a vehicle to take it from one place to the next. It may seem complicated, but that's what it is. So the body, our physical body, is a vessel, is a vehicle to take the consciousness from one place to the next. Consciousness and the body are different. Consciousness inhabits the body, and the body has a duration, has an expiration date. And at a certain point, you breathe your last breath. And you have to leave the body, just like, your car. You can drive it for 100,000 miles, 200, if it's a Volvo, maybe 300, if it's a Mercedes, maybe 350, and then you're done with it. You're done. You have to leave it. You don't get an existential crisis, just get another car. Just junk it, sell it, and get another car. So the body has an expiration date. So don't get an existential crisis because your body is going to grow old and die. You will get another one. You don't die. The real person, you, the person that you haven't seen yet as is, because you think, I'm young, wrong, I'm white, black, wrong, Chinese, American, wrong, male, female, wrong. This is all wrong. This is all designation. This is just what the car looks like. You have none of that. None of that. The consciousness is separate from that. It will need at a certain point to change, to get a new vehicle. So yoga means you actually transcend this idea that you are the body, because you're not, and you just don't experience this crisis, which is death. At the time of death, the true yogi can transfer oneself to an next body without, it's like he's just coming into the room. So there is no crisis. Did you suffer a crisis by coming from that room to this room? No, you're okay. So this is more or less what will happen to a fully transcendental person that will go to the next room without any type of inconvenience. Of course, this is a difficult thing to achieve, because especially if you don't practice, because for most people it's very shocking at the time of death. Well, just let's come back a little earlier. As the body grows old, and I have full experience of this as I'm getting old myself, is not functioning as well. I still play table tennis, but I used to do a lot of other sports, even rugby. Nowadays, I turn around to grab a sweater from the back seat of my car and my back goes out probably. I can't do all that stuff anymore. So the body is changing. And I'm not changing. The person is still the same. I remember, I changed bodies so many times. You guys are scientists, so you know that every 7 years there's a total rejuvenation of the cells, even brain cells. And so it's a new person. All of it. All the elements are different. But you're still the same. Your mom may not be a scientist, but she recognizes you, even if you show up every 7 years. Yeah, she will recognize, oh, yes, there you are. Even though now you have a beard, if you're a man, and some women in Eastern Europe, then she will recognize you still. So there you go. This is the person that goes through. Now, this method of yoga, with all the asanas and achieving samadhi, this was very popular and very effective a long time ago. Nowadays, we unfortunately, all these little tidbits of the yoga system, which is known as Hatha Yoga. Yeah, Hatha Yoga is 1/8 of the Ashtanga Yoga system, and this is not really, it's useful, but not very much. It's like a hobby yoga. That's what you get. You get what you pay for, right? You want to spend $2,000 in a car and get a Rolls Royce. Well, guess what? You're going to get a Toyota with a Rolls Royce little thing, that somebody from the junkyard will put on it. That's what you get for $2,000. Used, by the way. So do not. You can practice this yoga. You will become limber. That will probably help you become a little more calm. This age is called Kali Yuga, and this age is characterized by the fact that everybody is agitated and under duress and prone to quarrel easily. So it's not a very good time for anybody. And on top of that, we have Trump as president. So just imagine that. So somehow or other, this age is not very conducive for meditation and peace, and because everybody's fighting each other for nonsense reasons. In this age, a concession has been given to those who want to actually understand the higher self by doing mantra meditation. Mantra is not just a word. You heard this terminology, right? Mantra. Mantra is a word that has power in itself. Is imbued with spiritual energy. You may say, how is that possible? Well, words have certain weight. Like if somebody that you actually appreciate, love, tells you, I hate you, that affects you very deeply. That may scare you. That may create a trauma in your life just by a person pronouncing a word. So materially, words will affect us. Spiritually, there's certain terminology that will actually raise your consciousness. So mantra is a medicine, is a transcendental medicine that will actually fixate you and elevate you. So you say, well, I don't believe in it. Well, try it. Like, for example, let's say you have a headache. Now there is aspirin or Tylenol, Advil, what's the other one? Whatever it is. Originally, aspirin was synthesized from the inner bark of the white willow tree. So this is the origin of aspirin, and it works. It works. It takes the headache away. Now, if a medicine is potent, it doesn't depend on your belief. It doesn't matter if you believe, I believe it cures, I believe it doesn't. It doesn't matter. You can believe whatever you believe, but the medicine is potent, it will act. So mantra is a potent medicine that is, regardless of your belief, regardless of your inclination, regardless of your tendencies or wishes, if it's potent, it will act. It will release the mind from the clutches of illusion. Illusion is actually something that is attacking all of us. This illusion and this fever to acquire things, and this lust and greed and anger, and all these impurities that are attacking the progress of the soul of the person, can be actually not only calmed down, but actually eliminated by the medicine of mantra. That's why mantra yoga is recommended in this particular age, where most people, of course, none of you, most people are morons, because spiritual morons. They have no interest in spiritual life, no interest in who they are. They have no spiritual moments in their life. They go through life just work, family, money, food, sex, fear, all these things, and they think of nothing. No, that is significant. So for those who are fortunate, because how many living entities are in this universe, this world? There are approximately, according to the Vedic literatures of ancient India, 4,320,000 species of life. Out of those, not that many are human. You can fill out. How many humans in the world? 7 million, 7 billion, something like that. Close? Anybody? Yeah, about 7 billion. You can put 7 billion ants in this room. You can. They probably are somewhere, around campus. Not right here, right now. But how many humans? And I'm speaking right now, and maybe there are some roaches listening or trying to listen. But no, they don't get the philosophy very well. But humans can. They can understand abstract thoughts. They can feel empathy. A tiger attacking a zebra doesn't feel any empathy. It's not thinking about the zebra's family. Totally oblivious. They're thinking about food. We are different. We're different. And out of those humans, some are very fortunate that they inquire about the nature of the absolute truth. They try to understand, what is life about? Where do I come from? Why is there death? Is there justice? Is there divine justice? How come some people are born deformed, poor, with horrible diseases, and other people are born beautiful in an aristocratic milieu and with money? They have access to anything they want. They never suffer, apparently. How's that? What is it? Lottery? How is it possible? So people who don't ask these questions haven't really begun their path for self-realization. And self-realization is the only difference, really, between humans and other species. Because as far as eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, we share those things. And cockroaches have as much pleasure eating and having sex as humans. And so what's the difference? Cats in America live better than humans. And dogs, definitely, they get the luxury. Parents, the owners go to work. They have to struggle, have to pay bills. The dog has its own chair in front of a large screen TV and eats gourmet food. We're from Santa Barbara, and there was the main street there is called State Street. It's super expensive to rent any space. And there was a dog bakery for years. Dog bakery. The dog will eat stuff out of the toilet. And there was a dog bakery. Like, really? They can distinguish between Tahitian and Madagascar vanilla? Can they? I'm not sure. I'm not sure they can distinguish between toilets, honestly. So humans are different. They are different in that sense. They can't understand the truth because the truth has a certain sound and it resonates within the heart. So that's what mantra does. Cleanses the path between the ear and the heart. So when you hear these sounds, they go straight into your heart and they start shaking all those layers of unnecessary things that you really don't want. Like lust, anger, greed, madness, delusion, pride. Caltech, smart people, good families. That creates pride. And pride is actually a problem because it makes us think that we are better than we really are. I was born in Argentina, where everybody thinks they're better than the rest of the world combined. Yes. They even, huh? It is wrong? It is, maybe it's correct, but it's not true. They even have a couple of jokes. They say that why did the Argentinian go to the mountain? To see what the valley looked like without him. Or what's the greatest profit in any business? Is to buy an Argentinian for what he's worth it and sell him for what he paid he's worth. So yeah, we suffer from pride. And pride is really, it's like waking up. One day, if you actually were exposed to what pride is, it's an embarrassing situation. It's embarrassing. Let's say there is a high court judge, goes to a party and gets stone drunk, and walks into a closet. He doesn't know where he is. He's vomiting. He's laying on his own vomit. He falls asleep in stupor, and then somebody, opens the closet door. Oh, Judge so and so. If he actually realizes the situation he is in, he will be very embarrassed. So we think, oh, I am this, I am that. I'm white. I'm black. I'm American. I'm Indian. I'm Chinese. I'm a professor. I'm a librarian. I'm an editor. I'm a writer. I'm whatever you think you should be proud of. Not necessary. You're actually much better than any of it. You're a soul. You're a pure, conscious being that can experience immediate, unlimited happiness just by connecting to the source. If you're plugging in, if your computer is not plugged in, eventually the battery will say bye-bye, it will die. So unless we're plugged into the Supreme Consciousness, we're going to run out of battery. And we're going to have to experience birth, old age, disease, and death. Again and again and again and again. It's a problem. It's not maybe romantic to some of you, oh, birth, such a nice thing. But imagine you were put in the trunk of a car, a small car, an Italian car. Right? What are those called? Smart car. You're put in the trunk of a smart car for 9 months. Oh, and somebody puts a tube and feeds you, while you're there. It's not cute. It's agonizing. It's awful. So, we romanticize many things, but actually, truth is a little different. Birth, old age, disease, and death. That's coming for everybody. And don't think it won't come to you because you're young now, but, time goes by quickly. As you get older, it goes faster. Time goes by very quickly, and then you start forgetting, which sometimes is a good thing, that you forget. But then, what? At the end of your life, what have you accomplished? Look at your icons, in science. Fermi, and Faraday, Bohr, Planck, Schrödinger, Einstein, and all those guys. They get where are they now? They may have a statue that some pigeons have made a nest on. But where are they? They have actually left their bodies and taken birth somewhere else. According to the consciousness at the time of death, you take a body accordingly. And it's not a sudden thing. you are actually right now cultivating your next body. You're actually deciding, just like the body you have right now is the body that you designed previously, tailor-made. Of course, there is a little, how do you say? Well, you accumulated, you heard of karma. There's good karma, bad karma. So you planted trees, dug wells, help old ladies across the street, given charity to the blind, whatever you have done. Good karma. That goes into the green. And then you have done nasty stuff that goes into the red. So at the end of your life, even though you've been cultivating a certain type of what you want to be, an Adonis or a Venus, you want to be wonderfully looking and fabulously wealthy and all that stuff. So at the end of this life, you have your catalog comes in. And then you say, I want that. This is what I've been aiming for. But when you look at the price tag and you look at your karma account, oops, I don't have enough. That's, I don't know, 3,000 points and I have 227. So you get, you want the Rolls Royce, but you get the beat up Trabant. I don't know if you know about cars, but Trabant is probably the worst car ever made. It was made in East Berlin, and a long time ago, many decades ago, and it was made out of cardboard. Even the doors didn't close right from the factory. It was terrible. So you may not get a Trabant, but you won't get a Rolls Royce either. You get something in between, like a Toyota with a little Rolls Royce symbol on the hood. So why do that? Why get material body? Material body will again age and get sick and die. So try this process. I'm not a salesman. I'm just giving you what I have. Right? You can have it. It's free. It's great. Try mantra meditation because this will actually raise your consciousness, make you a lot more calm, make you see from a different perspective. Your life won't change, but your consciousness will. Your lifestyle will continue the same, hopefully better. If you want to improve your life, you should change your diet. Another day, if I'm ever invited again, I'll talk about diet because I've been trying to follow a strict diet for a while. I even went into heavy fasting. Recently I did a 6-day, no food, no water. Last year I did 21 days, just water. This is actually good when you get old. It gets rid of diseases and stuff. But, all the things require work. So I'm giving you here a hint that the process of mantra meditation is very simple. Anyone can practice it, whether you're a genius or without me, whether you're rich or poor, whether you're old or young, it doesn't matter. You can try the process of mantra meditation and see if it works for you. It usually does. If not, too bad. You didn't lose it. Just a few minutes of your time. Okay, so my wife suggested that I do questions and answers and not speak. That was tomorrow. I have another program. Okay, so messed it up. So, but if you guys have any questions, and you're the smart one, so I'm sure I will try to answer the best of my ability. If you have any questions, I will let them hear. And then we'll get into a little mantra meditation, which there are different types. You can do it by yourself with some beads, with a rosary, japa, chanting beads, which is good for discipline and good for yourself. You just chant the mantra loud enough so you can hear it. You just concentrate and chant as long as you can, as much as you can, as often as you can. And then there is a process called bhajan, which is chant the mantra with others, with nice soft instruments and music. And there is also kirtan, which is very exuberant with dancing and the whole thing. But the mantra is the same. for all the process. So today we're going to do the bhajan. We're going to chant with a little music. That's a good musician here, Pavan, who will play this instrument, upside down mridanga. It's that two-headed drum. And I'll play the harmonium, which is a hand pump organ, originally from Germany, adopted by Indians for their devotional practices since the Jesuits went to India in the 1800s. The Jesuits from Portugal. All right, any question before we get into the chant?
If you're not concerned about death or suffering, what is the path for?
Well, I am concerned.
But let's say we're not. I guess I'm not really.
You're not concerned about death or suffering. Have you suffered in your life?
Yeah.
And you're not concerned? Yeah. You're concerned. Huh?
I'm not concerned.
Not anymore. Well, that's
That's the whole point. There's just something more. That there's
no. It's not. It's not just. Actually, the beginning of yoga is to kind of transcend this suffering and the sinusoid of the material world. And that's the beginning, but it's not the goal. The goal is actually to develop love, because the heart is a repository of love, and when you feel love, then you will actually enjoy and have others enjoy you. So that's just the beginning. It's like getting to know, what's around you. So that's yoga means you become sane. You can actually see things for what they are. But the objective is to become a pure lover of God and lover of humanity. You love everyone. You love the animals. And that's why true yogis don't eat any flesh. They try not to cause any suffering to a living entity. So, as far as tolerating suffering, we have no other choice. Yeah, you may postpone suffering, or try to postpone, like cosmetic surgery. Try to postpone the inevitable, but you will sag. It will happen. So you try to defy the law of gravity. Doesn't work. You just acquire the rigor mortis look long before it happens. So suffering, you may not be concerned. Death, may not be concerned, but it will happen. It will, when it actually touches you, and you're not prepared. It's like you live in a place and all of a sudden you get an eviction notice. You won't like that. You say, I'm not concerned where I live, but when you get evicted, you won't be concerned. So right now, because you're smart and young and healthy, you can be philosophical about it, but eventually it will affect you a little more. And if you're smart, you will actually try to take measures how to transcend. Because you can't fix it. You can't fix it. But you can transcend. You can raise up yourself above it. So things actually, when you go above things, they shrink to the real sense. You think, oh, this is such a big building. But if you fly over, you may not be able to see it. So this is what you have to do. You have to raise your consciousness on the things that affect you. They become very insignificant. They don't really. But it's a good start. Also, it's a good start. Not to be too concerned, but you should have it present. Not be morbid about it, but have it present. Yeah? Is that okay? So. I know, I apologize. I told you guys you're smarter than me, so you're not going to get live tournament in this case.
I just have two follow-up questions. Maybe I don't want to perform a secret. But yeah, and the questions are kind of impossible, so I put that out there as well. So it's not like I disprove you, but I'm just kind of genuinely curious. So like, you're a married man, and you coach a team. If your wife dies, you will be upset. You can say that that she's going to the same place I'm going, or that she was enlightened and be okay. But like, presumably you like her, you're gonna shed tears, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, to anyone else around, what's the difference? Okay, and then same difference between you and someone else who has never heard of yoga or whatever. And the same for your team, right? Like, yeah, if they lose, it's okay. We're all gonna die, and if they win, we're still gonna die. So who cares? But still, you coach them for a reason because you prefer that they win, because it's fun to win, etc. How does that? How's the process? How does the practice make a difference in these things? Or maybe it doesn't. But then if it doesn't, again, what's the point?
Well, you can't become cynical about things because it makes the heart bitter. So you have to make the heart soft, not bitter. If actually, I was thinking, my wife usually, she's a very yogi than me. She wakes up earlier, but this morning she overslept, and I thought, oh, maybe she's dead. I actually thought she and so I was starting to imagine my life without her, and how am I going to grieve, and how my life is going to change, and there was a lot of changes that I was thinking, yes, of course, but still affects me. But you have to move on, and I hope she does too. If I die, I'll be lost, but to her maybe a little more. I can be philosophical about it. And as far as coaching a team, winning this and that, this is not the goal of my life. I do it because keeps me in shape. And I coach players and I play myself. But I don't take it. I love it, but I don't take it that seriously. So when things count, let's say you're on an airplane and you're talking to the next passenger and having a good time and whatever, and the plane all of a sudden hits a huge air pocket and it starts going down, a nosedive. That's when most people become spiritual, or they freak out too. They become very spiritual. Oh God, they remember God at that particular time, not before, not a moment before. And then, the guy was talking to a nice-looking girl on the plane, and the plane started going down. And now he's freaking out, and crying, and oh no, please, And then all of a sudden the plane regains altitude, and the guy said, as I was telling you, I'm a very important executive. He just forgets. This is low consciousness. Higher consciousness means you're aware. There is a monk, friend of mine, who was on an airplane, and he was reading one sacred text from India, and all of a sudden he was dressed in robes, monk robes, and there was an old lady sitting next to him, and she kind of obviously she didn't have a good taste, like she didn't like the idea of being sitting next to a monk, and the plane started going down, and the overhead compartments started opening, and stuff flying, cops, liquids. It was just awful. And then the plane was going down, and everybody was freaking out. And my monk friend just basically put his book down his bag, took his beads, his meditation beads, and started to close his eyes and started chanting his mantra. And eventually, the plane regained altitude. Then he just opened his eyes, put his beads away, took the book, and continued reading. I said, that was a normal thing to do. And this lady, who had no spiritual inclination apparently, turned to him and said, "We were spared because you were on the plane. That's why God didn't crash us, because you were on the plane and He didn't want you to die." So, things change with that comment right in front of you. Start breathing in front of you. So you may say, yeah, things change, things don't change, but when things really happen, let's say you have, God forbid, you have an accident, You don't know what you're going to say. If that's the last moment of your life, what are you going to say? Oh, SHIT, that's your final departing words, or you're going to actually chant a mantra and be transcendental to all of it. It happened to me. Fortunately, I was pretty happy chanting my mantra as the car was tumbling over, going around in the air a few times. Nothing happened to me, but then I was pretty calm because I had practiced for so long. So it's different to pretend, and when it happens, let's see what happens. We're all different, so I don't know. If it happens to me again, I don't know how I'm going to react. Hopefully, I'm going to do the right thing. I don't know if that answers the question, but I'm trying the best I can. I promise you that. Anybody else has any question? Go ahead. Sanskrit. Mantras are in Sanskrit. There is a mantra. I mean, there are many mantras. There are thousands of mantras. There are many words. This one mantra was given by a sage to a child who left home because he was actually upset with his family, and he had some serious desires to obtain a kingdom bigger than anyone in his family. So the sage gave him the mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and told him, if you chant it long enough, you will achieve self-realization. So he did that. Now the mantra was enough to relieve him from all anxiety. That even when his desire was about to be fulfilled, like he was going to get a kingdom bigger than anyone in his family, because his family really pissed him off. And they were in the royal family, by the way. He said, no, I don't want it anymore. I don't want it anymore. Now my heart is light and purified. I don't really need a kingdom. What do I need it for? So that's what the mantra does. It cures you from all these unnecessary desires. I've been chanting the Krishna mantra for decades because it's considered very intimate and very, very high. It's full of potency. The difference between a mantra and a nomenclature, something that indicates something else, is very, very evident, as if you would chant any material words. They won't affect you in any way, probably negative way. Like if you're thirsty and you chant Coca-Cola for 3 hours, you'll be just as thirsty or more, and you will probably start drinking Pepsi from that day on, because you can't deal with that anymore. Whereas if you chant a mantra, the mantra is imbued, and not just a representation, but is imbued with the power of that which represents. So when you chant a mantra, you're actually invoking the presence of that healing power. So if you chant the name of God, God will be present in His name. If it is a correct name of God, you can't make up, okay, I'd say God's name is Bob, so I'm going to chant Bob all day. No, you have to look and see what are the authorized names that have been revealed through history, and then chant any of those names. And different names of God have different amount of power. The more intimate, the better. What's your name? Pranam. Okay. So do you have a nickname? No nickname, but you have a last name. So people may address you by Sir, Boy, Pranav, or your last name, or Mr. So-and-so, many ways to address you. But those who know you best, they call you Pranav, probably, right? So you have many names, but one name is more intimate. The people who know you as Pranav, they probably know more about you than other people. So God may show up as, Jehovah, Adonai, Allah, Elohim, Nishinga, Varaha, Krishna, Rama, many names. But each name has a particular characteristic that is deeper, more intimate than others. Like, for example, let's take another judge example. there is a judge that has he's in the court and people see him different, right? The guy who, the prosecutor and the defense lawyer see him as kind of a challenge to their career. The person he's accused of a crime that is being judged sees that this guy has my life in his hands. The guy who sweeps the courtroom sees that this guy just sits there and bangs on a hammer once in a while, and he earns 10 times what I make, and I do all the work. And his golf buddies know him as Pete. They don't know he's a judge. And the guy who, sells some groceries, I have no idea, Mr. So-and-so, he drives a Lexus. That's what I know. And his wife knows him as Honey Buttons. And his kids know him as Daddy. So everybody has names for them. But those who know him as Honey Buns or Daddy or Buddy, childhood friends, they know him better. They have more access. So you can chant any mantras that refer to, closer and closer to the absolute, to God, to divinity. But the closer you get, the more power, the more revealing, and the more happiness you get. Because you're not dealing with a name, you're dealing with a person. The person is not just represented in a name. It's not a nomenclature. We say water to a particular liquid that flows and quenches our thirst. But water is just a name. The name water won't quench your thirst. The substance will. In a mantra, the substance, the name, it's all the same. It's all just as satisfying. It's fully there. Now you have to try it. That's my advice. Any other questions before we get in? Come on, guys. There's 2 for the price of 1. Yeah. Okay. So we'll get into the chanting. So this is the process. I will chant the mantra first, and I will play a melody, hopefully a simple one. Although I imagine you guys can do well with music as well. That's too dark. That's too light. Yeah, just hold it until it goes down. A little more. That's it. That's good. I want to see the faces too. So I'll chant first the full mantra, and then you chant back. So you have to hear me. This is the process of Bhakti Yoga. In Bhakti Yoga, first you hear, and then you repeat, you chant. So you hear me first, and then you chant, and I hear you. So this is good for everybody. We'll do it for a few minutes, and then there will be a vegan dinner from the Good Karma Cafe. Some of you have had the experience before, and you're still here. All right. Thank you very much for your kind attention and for allowing me to come and speak to such elevated group of people. And hopefully we'll do it again. Thanks.
Projective mantra.
Yeah, please.
That'll be easy to follow along.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. A little louder, I can't hear you. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare One more time, everybody. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare again. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, one more time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Again, everybody. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare one more time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, one more time. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. One last time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, wonderful. See? Yeah, good babies. Okay, so we're gonna serve the food. So I don't know how you do this. Sit in a circle, or rows. Okay. Thank you very much.
Just the final announcement. Thanks to everyone for coming, and I wish that lasted forever, but there's dinner. And so a quick announcement is that, so I hope you liked our program today, and we would like to serve you with many more to come in the future. And so I would be approaching you over dinner to ask you whether you'd like to register as a member or not. There's no responsibility as a member, it just helps us show our relevance to Caltech. So it helps support more programs like this. So thanks again for coming, it was wonderful to have you all here, and thanks for Sarvatma for everything. Thank you.
Just a quick logistical point. So we are going to be setting up a table. And then, so if everyone just line up and and also if you haven't signed in already, I'll be like figures, you can just have your name and pick you off, and if you haven't RSVP'd, then I can just like your name. Yeah, thank you so much for coming, and please stay and sit around here and eat it. Share it.
That's